Our next speaker is Julien Roux, who is a French certified trauma and peak states therapist, researcher and trainer at the Institute. But above all, he is a researcher at heart who is passionate about helping people discover who they really are and to realize their full potential beyond what they thought was humanly possible. This involves pushing the boundaries of what is known, developing new ways to heal and solve major problems such as manipulation issues, Kundalini symptoms, self-identities, Gaïa connection, and smoking addiction. So Julian's going to talk to us about manipulation. Over to you, Julian.
So, manipulation, scourge of modern times. So first, what is manipulation? So we all have like a definition for manipulation, but in psychology, we define manipulation as the use of devious means to exploit, control, or otherwise influence others to one's advantage. So people who manipulate others attack their mental and emotional side to get what they want. So it's really a strategy by people to get what they want instead of asking it. It would be easier to ask for something, but people often use this means to get what they want or to help them achieve their goals or any other desires. So the person manipulating, we call it the manipulator, seeks to create an imbalance of power by forcing his influence and taking advantage of a victim to get power, like I said, control, benefits, and or privilege at the expense of the victim. So how common is it? I mean, everyone knows this world. Everyone is aware of this mechanism. So it's very, very common. Even more common than what we think. So when we look at it, look at our life or even people around us or co-workers or friends, family, we can see manipulation happening all the time. But it's not manipulation as we would think about, you know, like in the movie, they are very like manipulate the person, like they make her feel alone and you know, there is no escape. No, it's not often that's drastic. It can be like solo manipulation. So also we have a negative image of people manipulating others. So, oh, this person is a manipulator, you know. But we all have the potential of being also a manipulator as well as being manipulated. So there are different causes for being manipulated, or I would say weaknesses, but it's more like the people that are more subject to get manipulated. So first, those that suffer from low self-esteem or self-doubts, that people also that lack confidence, also those that are emotionally dependent. They are more vulnerable of being exploited and manipulated. Also people that are very kind with others or naive, also immature, because they can be in denial that someone is taking advantage of them. And so they can find it hard to accept that some people use manipulation on themselves, you know. Also, people that are like we easily agree on things, or like have more like a submissive personality, because they are often more willing to give another the benefit of the doubt. So instead of standing their ground, they will more like, oh, okay, maybe this person know better than me, you know. I also included some testimonials that were really for me a good explanation of what could be the feeling of being manipulated by someone. So first is, I often had the impression of being manipulated. I felt forced to do things that I didn't really want to do. It was impossible to refuse, and when I didn't do them, the person was angry at me. It was as if I was being forced or controlled by that person. The relationship was tense, unpleasant, and I kept thinking about that person all the time. So that's very a classic example of someone manipulating you with like strong negative emotion, and especially with anger. The other testimonial is more about how she felt in her day-to-day life with her partner, friend, and family. So I used to do what I really didn't want to do. But for some reason, I was feeling an internal compulsion to give in to other people's suggestion and action. So giving her free will, away. I was feeling that some inner strength was keeping me from seeing the true intention of my partner, friend, and family. So what are the manipulator motivations? So there are various possible motivations for being manipulative, such as to advance purpose and personal gain, to attain feeling of power and superiority in relationships with others, to feel in control, to boost self-esteem when you are bored, so boredom, and seeing also manipulation as a game or a mind game. So it's not easy to get testimonial from people manipulating others. I was lucky because some of my colleagues were aware of some behavior they had in the past, and so I was able to get some testimonial. So unconsciously, I was using various ways of influencing others through manipulation to achieve my goals in every area of my life. So another one is at my work, there was a few girls with personality disorder who totally changed behavior after I did some healing on being manipulated. So this person was manipulated at work, and after healing this manipulation feeling that he was experiencing, it changed drastically the relationship with this person. So they were very skilled manipulators, but all of a sudden, they did not even try anymore to manipulate me. So there is various forms of manipulation and way that people can manipulate you. So first, they know your weaknesses and how to exploit them. They use your insecurities against yourself. They convince you to give up something important for you to make you more dependent on them. There is also other forms of manipulation that are very more global, like manipulation of facts by actively lying to you, making excuses, blaming you. Also exaggeration and generalization. No one has ever loved me. So by saying that you want to help this person, oh no, I will love you, I will show you that it's not like that. Also cruel humor by poking at your weaknesses and by making you feel insecure. Gaslighting by confusing you and making you question your own reality. Passive aggression by making you feel guilty and giving you back-ended compliments. By constant judging, so openly judging yourself, ridiculing you, and dismissing you. Also, they can use other kind of emotion to manipulate you. So by making you experience those emotions to then manipulate you. So they can also use other type of emotion that is more from them, like complaining, fear, comparing, denying, faking ignorance or innocence, and playing mind games with you. So, manipulated or manipulator. So, as I said earlier, we all have the potential of being a manipulator as well as a manipulated person. But in my research, experience, clients, friends, myself, colleagues, everyone at some level in their life as being a manipulator. So think about it with all of what I said and the reason why we can do that. And I'm sure you can find maybe some example in your life where you have been manipulated. But as I was explaining, the word manipulation seems a big word, but it's not as like as harmful as you can think. There is different level of that. There is we will see in the next slide the most common one that everyone uses but didn't realize they are manipulating others by those kind of wording or way of expressing yourself. So my goal here is really to show people that how much normalized is it in our society, in our relationship, to use manipulation to get what we want. Also, there is a question, is any form of influence considered manipulation? So, extreme case of manipulators. So, there is people that are already more prone to be manipulators because of mental health issue. So, the most known one are borderline personality disorder and the narcissistic personality disorder. We also often hear in the media or in different platforms about narcissistic pervert. People think that they were being manipulated by someone in their life, like a partner often, that were feeling like really like gaslighted, blindsided, you know. So that will go in this slide. Also, other extreme case, I'm wondering if cult leaders are not also an extreme case of manipulator, you know. So I didn't do research on that much, but I would not be surprised if that was one of the main reasons for those leaders to be so popular, being able to have those cults going on. Okay. So symptoms of manipulation. So how can I know myself I'm being manipulated right now? So there is the obvious one, I'm feeling manipulated. Then there is the feeling that something is off, especially in a close relationship or even with a casual encounter, because you feel pressured or controlled. Also, a compulsion to do what the other person wants you to do. Or you know that this person is lying to you, but you cannot believe that's the case, in spite of the evidence. You know, even people telling you, no, he's lying, but in some way you're not able to see the truth. You know? And so you continue to act in a way that benefits the manipulator, and so you harm yourself in the same time. Also, an underlying sense of fear or anxiety. That could be very strongly a cause of manipulation. It can be OCD or other cases, but it can also be a case of manipulation going on. Also, unusual tiredness. So if we put aside the chronic fatigue syndrome, this tiredness could be a case of manipulation. Resistance to eating. Also, clients who just have more problems. So it's like when you are doing some healing the client, helping him heal some issues, like there has always been more stuff to heal, more triggers, you know, happening in the session. So that could be the case of manipulation. So you will understand later on with the psychobiology why is it the case. So other symptom manipulation, you feel fear, obligation, and guilt. So there is the classic kind of bully and the victim that is a bit less known. So bully makes you feel fearful and might use aggression, threats, and intimidation to control you. So I think that's the more common manipulation term, that definition that people know, but it's not the main one. So that's why I'm doing this talk today. There is also the victim. So the manipulator is taking on the role of a victim to engender a feeling of guilt in yourself. But even though manipulator is playing the victim, the reality is that they are the ones that have caused the problem. So we know they are faking being the victim, but you cannot stop wanting to feel guilt and wanting to help them feel better. Another symptom of manipulation is you are questioning yourself. So the term gaslighting it's kind of new, I would say, new in the term of people using it and knowing this term. We hear that all the time. At least I do hear that all the time on social media, like, oh, this person gaslight me. So this term means that people that manipulate you make you question yourself, your reality, even your memory or your thoughts. So a manipulative person might twist what you say and make it about them, hijack the conversation, or make you feel like you have done something wrong when you are not quite sure you have. So if you are being gaslighted, you might feel a false sense of guilt or even defensiveness, like you failed completely or must have done something wrong, when in reality, that's not the case. And the last one of sample manipulation is, well, at least from the one I know today, is strings attached. So the typical one is like Mr. Nice Guy. So it's someone that may be helpful and do a lot of favors for other people, for yourself. And it's very confusing because you don't realize anything negative is going on, because this person is so nice, so helpful, always present, always wanting to help me, help others. But when we dig deeper, there is always like a string attached to this person, like an expectation. And so if it's the person is helping you and you don't meet the manipulator expectation, so you don't reciprocate that, you will be made out to be ungrateful. You will be seen as an ungrateful person. And in fact, exploiting the norms and expectation of reciprocity is one of the most common forms of manipulation. That's where you can see that, oh, I see manipulation is not just like a bully aspect. You know, it can be very subtle, and like we are so used to it that we accept it and we don't see it as manipulation. An example, like a salesperson might make it seem like because he or she gave you a deal, you should buy the product. That's a form of manipulation. In a relationship, a partner might buy you flowers, then request something in return. So those tactics work because they abuse social norms. And because we are so used to it, we don't perceive that as being manipulated. It's just normal. And so, yes, we could argue that it's normal to reciprocate favors to people, but even when someone does one like a reciprocation of a favor insincerely, we often still feel compelled to reciprocate and comply. So it means that if someone is like giving you a favor, but you know they are not doing it for free, they want something in exchange, in some way you still feel obligated to do it and to reciprocate the favor, even though you know it's not like a true act of kindness, you know. So now the best part, the psychobiology of manipulation. So what is manipulation from a biology standpoint? So in the next slides, I will talk about our discovery at the Institute for the Study of Peak State. So in 2017, we finally figured out the biology of how people were being manipulated and how to treat it. Of course, there can be many reasons for people getting manipulated by their traumas, by patterns, by generational trauma and other issues. But here we are talking about the mechanisms of involuntary loss of judgment type of manipulation. So the key was in recognizing that the manipulator used a fungal organism to influence others. So we call these fungal organisms a manipulation fungus. So from the manipulator point of view, how does he feel? How does he feel that make him act this way and use a fungus to influence us? So in one case, the person that was a manipulator described their action as being motivated by a deep underlying hunger. As they manipulate others, their hunger or craving relaxes. And we often see hunger as a side effect of the presence of fungal organisms in people. So we match our discovery and what we know about fungal organisms. So here is a view of a primary cell. So what we discover is like, as you can see on the right, there is like this overlay of the manipulators. That's what people experience. They experience like someone is manipulating them, like a presence of someone nearby. But in fact, it's a fungus. You can see like in the center of this overlay, there is like a little fungi, and that's the manipulation fungus. We can have different one trigger at the same time, or just trigger at different time in our life, or with different person. And what we discovered is like there is like a master manipulation fungus. So on top of the cell membrane, of the primary cell membrane, there is like I would say like a master manipulation fungus. And this one is like giving off a little fungi offspring, and each one little fungi is like would be like a manipulator, and they will get trigger activate when the manipulator want to manipulate you, and so to manipulate you, they will trigger those fungi in yourself to then achieve their goals and get what they want. So how to know if I'm being manipulated? So a quick way to know that, except with everything I explained earlier, that is very mental, you can close your eyes and feel if there is a presence of a person nearby. Like as if the manipulator was standing in the room a few feet away. Could be mother, father, brother, sister, friend, co-worker, even stranger in some case. But for some people, it can be quite frightening to notice those presence. So presence equal manipulation fungus. Because those fungus can have different emotion coming from them. So they emanate some emotion. So it can be positive, like love, admiration, or any positive feeling, like peace, kindness, I don't know, like empathy, but also can be very negative, like hate, anger, evil emotion. So as you can see, if someone has a presence of someone that is very evil or very hateful, you can imagine your body reacting against that, like, oh my God, I don't want that, I want to push that away, but that makes you feel a lot of emotion also in reaction to that. So that's also why most people are not very aware of those presence, because sometimes the emotions are too strong for them. They prefer to not perceive that. So they blank on it. But knowing that it's a possibility, now you will become more aware of that. If ever you are working on yourself and you want to get help about some issue that you think it could be manipulation. So also the person manipulating you can shift the emotion from positive to negative through this manipulation fungus. Because in the end, they want to get what they want by any means necessary. So I also had in session with some friends, some people telling me like, oh, I feel the presence of my guardian angel or a loved one like that just passed away. And they emanate like a pure positive emotion, like a divine emotion or like a loving emotion. So that they were really at ease with those presence. And they felt very spiritually advanced because they are like their guardian angel guiding them and helping them, but it was in fact a manipulation fungus. So once healed, they felt, surprisingly for them, a lot better and more free when those were gone. So another type of manipulation fungus that we discovered was organization ones. So to our surprise, a number of people have a variation of this problem that can impair their interaction with many different kinds of organizations. So, for example, you want to work for a big company, but in some way, when you think about this company, you don't feel at ease. You have some fear, anxiety. I don't know, it's like you don't feel comfortable about that. But if you were to really think about this organization and what you want to present to them, and if you put your attention in the distance toward this organization, like in front of you, you can sense like this organization is like a blob or like a presence that emanates a specific feeling. It can be, like I said, positive or very negative. And so it turns out that the standard manipulation fungus technique that we all use as therapists works on this problem also. But the outcome, once healed, is somewhat different. So when you use the technique to heal a manipulation fungus, what happens is like the presence of the manipulator is gone from the surrounding of the person. So then she feels more calm, peaceful, and light. She's not triggered so much like she was before when she was manipulated by this presence. But in the case of organization, when we heal it, the outcome is different. Then for them, this organization blob or presence dissolves. And then now the person can sense a number of individuals in the distance that all have a variety of different emotional tones. And those individuals are like representing the organization. Now, it's not like one entity, it's like a group of people. So that's the end point we want to reach once the healing is done on one organization. So I don't know how much time I have left. Shane, just to make sure.
Yeah, you could have up to 10 minutes if you wanted.
Okay, perfect. I'm almost done anyway.
Including questions, yeah. There's only one at the moment.
Okay. So testimonial. So I wanted to include more testimonials just because it makes more sense. It's easier for people to get it, in which way they can be manipulated, and which way it influences their lives and their behaviors and their train of thoughts and even any action, really. So before the process, I felt like I was being cursed repeatedly, which made me tired. So after the process meaning she healed the manipulation fungus with the therapist, I noticed that I was considerably less tired, allowing me to be more myself. The person who was manipulating me just stopped coming around and I didn't see them anymore. A person who I know tends to manipulate others now cannot look at me and won't interact with me. Another testimonial is, I noticed more room around me psychically. It felt like clouds moved away from me and I had more room to move. So after eating manipulation fungus, this person feels she was having more space around her. I felt like an emotional freedom to focus on my life more freely. The process helped me let go of the string that attached me to that person. I noticed the person who manipulated me the most seemed less present in my mind. So this one is really a good example of how it can affect your life, like in a profound way. So I remember really well having manipulation fungus, especially after all the things it made me do and the way I act when the fungus was triggered. It feels like a presence that's following you. Sometimes it reminds you of people that you can't get out of from your head, and you think they want you to act in a specific way. It used to give me negative thoughts about people, myself, my work. So as you can see, it was really like impacting his life like in every aspect. After the fungus was gone, I was finally free of anxious feeling. I was able to talk to people without feeling and thinking they want something from me. Ever since I healed manipulation fungus, I feel more at ease in relationships, working with people and just in casual daily life. It's a sense of peace in my mind and space around me. It doesn't tell me anymore how I should act. So a common symptom again from being manipulated is like you always think about this person, and that gives you some trigger some emotion in you. And so one of the common result of eating one manipulation fungus of this person is like suddenly don't think about this person all the time, like, and so you feel more free in your action. Another testimonial: once the manipulation fungus was gone, I felt a total change. I began to live in harmony with my inner values, expressing myself without fear that I would be rejected if I did not act as others expect me to do. So that's a good way to put a good sentence, because if you think about it in your life, I'm sure that many times you didn't want to upset someone, or you didn't want to feel rejected, so you were doing what others wanted you to do, or what you thought they were expecting from you, just to still be near them, not be alone, and also to be part of the gang or of the group of people. There was many people. So our relationship have deepened, and I have become more authentic. I have set my boundaries assertively. I have not allowed them to be exceeded. I have started to respect myself more, and interestingly enough, I have started to respect and accept other people more as well. Also, a common issue is like we don't necessarily become aware of that, but it's like our boundaries are constantly like pushed back or violated by those manipulators. So once we hear that, it's like we feel now, oh, okay, now I have my boundary with this person. She cannot like interfere and manipulate me as well. It's not that flexible anymore. So that's also a good example of a change once it's healed. And finally, for testimonial, this one is about organization fungus, so the impact it can have. So the biggest breakthrough is when I took Julien's advice to heal all the manipulation fungus I had between myself and the ISPS, including the key leaders in the group. By healing all of these, I was able to see the Institute no longer as an organism that is against me and trapped in a box of my own opinion, but instead I can see it as a growing and evolving group of dedicated people, and this freed me up to work and collaborate with my colleagues in the ISPS with professionality and collaboration, and without judgment and any resentment. So as we can see, healing this organizational manipulation fungus made the person feel more connected to his colleagues, and being able to really collaborate and to do more work and with the Institute. The other one is very interesting because some people have already the perception of presence, they already are aware of those, but they just stick in their imagination. So since I was a child, I had this feeling of perceiving presences. I thought it was normal, and these presences made me afraid, which made me sleep with the light on. For a long time, I kept the light partially on, until before I did a training in trauma therapy. And when I would walk up the stairs, because my office was in the basement, and I would come into a room where it was dark, I would get chills down my spine, like a fear that would come over me. I felt like there was someone behind me. And after eating this manipulation fungus, it ended. I never felt this fear or this feeling of presence in my back. So for me, it's a major change in my life, because obviously when you have that fear, it prevents you from feeling good. And this person had this manipulation fungus for like 30 years at least. So you see, you can have like a long-term issue with one manipulator or several. So, okay, what are the solutions now? So we have a process. So it's like we can heal one manipulator at a time. So healing with someone the presence of manipulator and healing this for the person to be calm, peaceful, and light again, and not feel manipulated by this person anymore. So all of our certified trauma and state therapists are trained in this process and can help you with this issue if you need to read something about a manipulative person or feel manipulated in your life. But also, since we developed this psychoimmunology model, in 2020, we comes up with a treatment to make us immune to these fungal organisms. So this master manipulation fungus. So we now have an experimental process that can make us immune against that. So then we cannot get manipulated by people anymore by those manipulation fungus, but we cannot manipulate others anymore either. So it's a win-win, because even if we are like, oh, I'm not manipulating others, maybe we were sometimes, we don't really know, you know. So with this process, now we cannot manipulate others by those manipulation fungus, and we cannot get manipulated either by those manipulation fungus because those are gone. Of course, it's still experimental and we are still testing it, so it's not yet available for certified therapists or clients, but we hope soon it will be. So I would like to personally thank Dr. Grant McFetridge, because he was the one with his research team that made the first discovery about the manipulation fungus and the biology of it. I would also want to thank Shane, Mackenzie, Dr. Mary Pellicer, and Rita Brunbrain that were part of the research team with me to find out about the master manipulation fungus. And also everyone that shared their testimonial with me and with you to be able to get a better sense of what manipulation looks like in a day-to-day life basis. So you have my email if you want to contact me, my website if you are interested in any services I could provide you. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Julien. So just got a minute left. So one of the questions was, so there's two processes. The testimonials, were they for people who just healed one manipulation fungus, or were they using the psychoimmunology treatment to eliminate the master manipulation?
No, those people healed one manipulation fungus or several with their therapist or because they are themselves therapists. So no, it wasn't about the global process.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So people often have like maybe main manipulation fungus always active. So when you heal those, like, whoa, I can really have space now, I'm really free. So sometimes it just take 1 or 2 or 3 healing to be really feeling amazing.
Great. So there are a number of other questions, but we'll address them when we get to the panel later today in about an hour.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Bye.